I'm Igor Kayfetz, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, a podcast for those who want to build a large profitable email list and make six figures from anywhere in the world. If you would like to get rich by building a large email list while helping people, this podcast is for you. I also invite you to attend a free web class I'm conducting this week to find out how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers at a profit. Secure your free seat at igor.cx. Attend this free workshop to discover an easy way to get 50 to 500 new email leads per day on complete autopilot without losing tons of money. Just go to igor.cx to attend this free web class. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. Welcome back to another edition of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor Kayfetz. My next guest comes from Miami, Florida, and he's somebody who went from average to extraordinary in his online business. He made the classic journey that almost every single person in the online marketing space has made who became successful in the last 5 to 7 years. He started out in a company called Carbon Copy Pro, made his way to an offline company when he didn't experience success with CCP, then went back online and finally succeeded for the first time with a company we all know, Empower Network, that's no longer around. From there, he switched to a different company, made another six figures, multiple six figures. And from there, when that company shut down, unfortunately, he moved into a company that he's with right now and is now making six figures a month. So his success has been gradual, but also very, very fast because he's only 23 years old and he's already able to not only make ridiculous amounts of money each and every single month, but also travel the world and be carefree when it comes to his personal freedoms. So today, I'd like to tap into his brain and find out the secrets behind his success, which he claims to be mostly internal. Right, so today we're going to be focusing on the mindset game and on the internal part of success. So help me welcome my guest, Julian Sherman. Jules, come on out.
Yo, what's up, brother? Although I will say, I wish I was 23, but 23 is when I started. I'm 27 now, although I do wish I was younger, knowing the things I know now. But what's going on, bro?
Oh, wow. Okay, well, then we're canceling. I mean, I'm not interested in conducting this interview anymore.
I'm just kidding, bro. What's going on? Thanks for having me out, bro. It's an honor, man.
My pleasure. And after attending one of your events and seeing the kind of crazy results that your clients are getting, the kind of crazy results that your teammates are experiencing right now, and how the group was so vibrant and so tight, you know, I had to get you on a show because if you're transferring what you know to them and seeing the success they're experiencing, as far as I know, you have 50 students that are making six figures right now, then I want to share this information with the list builders. And that's how we call our audience here. So, Jules, why don't you go ahead and share with us, how did you get into the online marketing space? How did you get into Carbon Copy Pro? And what is the reason you think you didn't succeed with it?
Yeah, totally, man. It's actually funny because a lot of people in our industry, right, they come from some sort of cold advertisement. They see an ad on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. They connect with somebody and all of a sudden they're in this industry. My story was a bit different. I never got good grades in school. I barely graduated high school. I had like a 2.2 GPA, which I think is equivalent to like a C- or a D+. I could barely graduate. And it's not that I couldn't. Like anytime I really sat down and studied and did it, I would get good grades. But the reason I didn't do that was because I just looked at every single person who went down that path and got the A's, got the 4.0. And I looked at those people's lives after that. And I was like, I want nothing to do with that. I don't want to work in a job. I don't want to be in a cubicle. I don't want to do these things that society says is the right thing to do. You know, get the piece of paper, work 40 years, you know, work to home to work to home. Like the thought of that made me just sick. But the problem was that although I knew I wanted to do business, I wanted to do something in business. The problem that, you know, maybe you listening or somebody listening to this can relate to is I didn't have any money. So how am I going to start a business? I didn't know about online business. So when I looked at franchises or different offline businesses, which I didn't know there were online businesses, I was like, okay, I need at least 50 grand, 100 grand, a McDonald's franchise, you need $1 million just to get your foot in the door in a McDonald's franchise. And you're not even expected to see profits for 3 to 5 years. You have to deal with rent, inventory, space, employees, overhead, and all those headaches that are associated with an offline business. So I was kind of just in this weird phase of like not doing anything society was doing, but also not doing anything else because I didn't know what to do. So I became like, I literally would just like sit around all day, smoke weed, and just try to figure out, how I'm going to make it in this world. And it wasn't until I come from the Russian Jewish background, kind of like yourself, Igor. And we have these big like Sabbath dinners on Friday nights with like family and friends. So I used to go to these dinners and there would be a lot of family and friends, maybe like 50, 60 people once a month. And I remember that every single time I would go to these dinners, there would be these two brothers. There would be these two brothers who I would always talk to. And the types of conversations I would have with them were just different than the regular conversations of like, how's school? How are your grades? These were conversations where these guys, I didn't know them that well. They weren't blood related, but we were related through like different marriages and stuff. And they would always ask me questions of like, Julian, what do you really care about? What excites you to wake up? What do you fear most? And they were asking me questions that I never really thought about. So I was always intrigued of like talking to these guys. And when I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I love these conversations I'm having with you guys. You guys think on a whole nother level outside of the box. I was wondering like what they do for an income. Because these were well put together guys. They were in really good shape. They were building businesses. And basically these guys made millions of dollars in real estate lending up until 2008. And we all know that what happened in 2008, the economy just crashed, 07, 08. And these guys lost everything in real estate to where they had $400 left to their name after building multi-million-dollar worth of assets and a bunch of business success. So always kind of paid attention to them. I knew that I wasn't going to do some sort of real estate with them. And then one day, Igor, this was like my ad, right? It was technically a warm market ad, is what it turned out to. But I saw a post where one of these brothers was talking about like, oh my God, we just had our first we just made our first 6 figures in this online business, after everything crashed in real estate. If you're interested in like how we did it, I don't remember if there was a call to action. I don't remember exactly. All I knew is I called this guy right away and I'm like, what is this about, guys? Like online business. I've never heard of it. I've seen surveys and all this, scammy stuff out there, but actual like business or real business I can build like with a legacy and a name behind it. I didn't know that existed. So long story short, I got in with these guys, and I remember specifically, Igor, they told me one thing, and I think it is the biggest reason why I'm still around today with all the ups and downs, having massive months, having slower months. The reason I'm still around today is because when I got on that first coaching call in that company, it was actually with Cameron George. He was on your podcast, I think, a few weeks ago. He's one of my mentors. And Cameron told me, he's like, look, Julian, business is built in 2 ways. And there's only 2 ways. There's nothing around it. You either build a business with your time or with your money. That's how a business is built. And he's like, look, I didn't have any money at the time. I was going to community college for a business degree after barely graduating high school. I couldn't get into any college. So I went to community college. So I had all the time in the world. I didn't have any money. I was just going to this community college. And he's like, what's your income goal? And at that time, my income goal was like the classic online business income goal, 10,000 a month. Right. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if it takes you 4 years to make 10 grand a month, would it be worth it? And the way I looked at it was like, well, right off the bat, I was like, shit, man, I don't want to wait 4 years to like make my income goals. But then I put it into perspective. And that's the biggest thing I realized about successful people is they do a really good job about putting things into perspective. So the way I looked at it was like, yes, I don't want to wait 4 years to make some money, but what other option do I have? What am I going to go to community college, graduate with a business administration degree, make 40 grand a year, and maybe, 20 years later get a raise to like 60 or 70 grand a year? The thought of that was just a joke to me. And no offense to anybody who went to school and got a degree. I respect that. I truly know how much work goes into that. I just wasn't willing to put the work into it because I didn't see the benefit, at least for what I wanted in my life. So that perspective of like, what if it took 4 years, kept me around. And that's initially how I got my start in the industry, man, was through a Facebook post from a family friend that turned my whole world upside down, bro.
Interesting. So obviously that Facebook post was really warm because you wouldn't be even paying attention to what, someone you don't know on Facebook is saying, right? Because you knew these guys and you knew they were making money and you've had the conversations with them. So, and I have to make the distinction because on this show, we kind of, sell against Facebook, if you will. Facebook is the big enemy over here, being that I'm an email guy. But what's really fascinating to me is that from the very beginning, from before you found the industry, you were already moving away from the traditional way of earning an income. You were already frustrated with the system. You were already frustrated with what the future was holding for you. And in other words, what that post did for you, or what those conversations with those couple of guys at those Sabbath dinners did for you, they simply reaffirmed the direction where you already wanted to go. Is that correct?
100%.
Okay. So from there, you then decided to build a business with your time, and you were able to put things into perspective, as you say. So you basically had long-term vision, and you were able to see things from a bird's eye view, right? Rather than getting tied up in instant gratification and saying, oh, I'm not going to wait 4 years to make $10,000 per month. But rather you said, okay, so this is one option. Let me see what other options are out there. And the other option was, go to college for 4 years, community college of all things, go to college for 4 years and, try to get a job. And what would a job pay? And a job would pay even less than that. And the growth will be even slower. So you make the difficult decision to pursue a completely, a very risky business where you have no guarantee of success. Yet you now have this belief that even if it takes me 4 years to make $10,000 per month, I will still go at it because that is the path that I'm choosing as an entrepreneur. So what happens next?
So after that, I didn't have any money. So I decided that I was going to learn the skills, the principles. One thing I've learned is that in this game that we're in, and I'm sure, Igor, we had some good conversations about this when I saw you in person at our live event, but everyone's looking for like that secret, the strategy, like what's this new headline that is getting 60% conversions, or this color page nowadays is the hottest thing, when all that stuff is important. Mechanics are important and they can definitely help. But the thing that I've noticed that all of the people who are really in the game, who have done this for 5 years plus, for this type of industry, 5 years is like 20 years in a traditional business, mm-hmm. But it's the principles, so I decided I'm going to learn the principles, got into this business, and I didn't have a marketing budget. I saw all these people crushing it with marketing budgets, paid ads. I didn't have an advertising budget. So the strategy that I decided to learn at the time was basically ranking YouTube videos for long tail keywords. So I would rank keywords that would get I would make videos. So basically I would go to Google keyword, and I would find like long tail keywords. And for any of you guys that don't know, a long tail keyword is basically like, let's say somebody types in make money online. That's a keyword, right? Ton of competition. But if someone types in like make money online, working from home in Miami, Florida, this zip code, it's still going to have searches, not as much as make money online. So very low competition to rank. So I would make literally, Igor, hundreds of videos, probably like sometimes 5 to 10 of these videos in a day, finding these keywords and just making YouTube videos in my parents' basement where basically like, let's say that keyword. So somebody would type that in and I would be on a video and be like, hey, it's Julian here. You're probably seeing this video because you're looking for a work from home opportunity in Miami, Florida with this zip code. And let me share something with you. And I just did that same thing with like hundreds of keywords, and got to the point where my stuff started ranking, and some of the videos got like thousands of views. Most of them got like 100 views, so nothing crazy. But started doing that. And once I got to the point where, you know, for me too, Igor, like it wasn't at that point, I was so interested in the stuff that I was learning, like the psychology of marketing, where I was like happy to do it, even not making money. Like I was just so intrigued by like how cool it is, like just like target marketing. Like it was like an art to me, and got into that. And the thing that changed for me most was once I had my first experience with paid advertising and I saw the results that I got in a day from paid advertising, it was like equivalent to like a month's worth of ranking stuff. So that's when I became addicted with paid advertising and started really honing in on that skill once I realized how much more powerful it was and how much quicker I could get results. And I fell in love with the whole, like, you got to spend money to make money type concept.
Yeah, absolutely. But you started out with free advertising because that was the correct way for you to start. I mean, for me, it was very similar. My strategy that really worked for me wasn't ranking for long tail keywords, even though I did do that. I did upload videos, you know, on YouTube. I built blogs around, you know, product review, keywords. Like if there was a product launching called Commission Sniper, I would build a blog that said Commission Sniper bonus, Commission Sniper scam, you know, the classic stuff. So that didn't quite work for me, but what did work as far as free traffic strategies was product launches. And I was able to create products and have other people promote them in exchange for 100% commission. So I had other people build me a buyer list. So that was my free strategy. But then again, just like you, I've discovered the power of paid ads because I realized there was no scalability in free. Now, we did touch upon that you recognize that principles govern success in this industry, and that very quickly you learned that the tricks and the gimmicks and the tactics don't really matter. It's the principles that matter. So can you walk us through perhaps a couple of principles that govern your business today and that you feel are responsible for at least, you know, substantial part of your success?
Yeah, totally. The biggest shift that I've noticed in the industry over the last couple of years, Igor, is the fact that back in 2012, 2013, even 2014, I would literally, like, I was selling affiliate products, right? For example, a Ryan Dice affiliate product. For any of you guys that don't know Ryan Dice, he's a big marketer. He's got a bunch of affiliate products, and literally one of the best ads I ever had was I was selling one of his products. It was called like the End of Web Report or something like that. And the ad that worked best for me, I literally went to Google and I typed in seductive woman looking at camera. I grabbed a face shot of a beautiful woman looking at a camera, and I literally just put a red border around that picture and put it on the right column as a right column Facebook ad. That worked like crazy. It was crazy. And those types of things worked, you know, the traditional, like Eugene Short's breakthrough advertising type psychology worked really, really well. And then I noticed that over the past few years, anytime I try to do the same thing, usually anywhere your marketing won't approve stuff like that. You can't show women, you can't show for the most part. And I've realized that, you know, one thing my mentor told me, he said, Julian, your income is directly proportionate to the value that you provide to the marketplace. So once I made the shift from like, I need to make a sale, I need to put an ad up, I got to get clicks, I got to get conversions, to how can I impact, inspire, and provide value for free and not expect anything in return? How can I do that? And when I started doing that, that's when people would come out of the woodworks to work with me, because they're getting such a good experience on the front for free. Like right now, whenever I do advertising, most of my ads don't have any call to action, don't say do this. It's literally like some sort of inspiring video, some sort of free content, some sort of value. Like maybe I'll do a go live or something and then just like promote that, or just give something for free. Maybe if I'm working with my email list, I'll send them a survey like, hey, what do you want to learn? You know, just giving. I've noticed that the principles that work is like, you know, it's like when you go to a new store that opened, right? The smart ones, they give you a free sample. You know, sometimes I go to these stores that open and they're telling me about their products and I got to buy something. I'm like, give me a sample. I've never heard of you. like imagine if you wanted to get a massage, right? You were walking by a massage place, but you didn't want to commit $100 for an hour massage, but you were walking by and some woman or some man was like, you know, sit down for 5 minutes. I want you to experience the type of massages that we do. And you do 5 minutes there and it's free. There's a big chance that because your experience was so good, you felt so good, it was free, you didn't have to commit anything. You could walk out the door right now, but because it felt so good and it was free and you got such a good experience, chances are that you're either going to continue and do an hour massage or you're going to book an appointment because you got so much value. So I think the biggest principle is give as much as you can without expecting anything in return. And one thing that I struggled with, and I see a lot of my clients struggle with, is if we haven't made money yet, or if you're listening to this and you haven't made any money yet, or you don't have any substantial results, you might be feeling like, okay, like what value can I give to the marketplace? I haven't made money. What kind of value do I have? And don't sell yourself short. Every single person listening, you have value to give. And if you feel like you don't have value because my whole life I felt that way, the biggest thing you can do is listen to people like Igor, listen to podcasts, read books like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Literally, you can go, I made a video about this. You can go on the Apple iTunes podcast app. It's free. And you can listen to the best people in every area of life for free, talk about exactly what they do, how they do it, and have conversations with them. So you can get value from other people. You know, a lot of this stuff, you know, Russell Brunson, one of the best marketers on the planet, he literally has a podcast where pretty much every day he uploads something where he's giving value. So you can get value from that and then make a video and be like, you know, I was just listening to this podcast. One thing I learned that really helped me and I want to get your perspective on it is blah, 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 blah. You put out that video, you put out free content, all of a sudden people are going to hit you back, be like, wow, thank you. They know people are smart now. The clickbaity red border stuff, it doesn't work anymore. People are smart. So you have to give people an experience they'll never forget. And then when you offer them something, if they had such a good experience with you over and over and you offer them something, some sort of program, some sort of offer, some sort of product or service, there's a much higher likelihood that they're going to want to buy from you.
Yo, it's Igor. If you're loving the content, hop on over to listbuildinglifestyleshow.com for more free training and a free transcript of this episode. Oh, and I'd really appreciate if you logged into iTunes and rated the show. It really helps. Thanks. Interesting. Yes. So what you're talking about is offering free value. Now, there's a couple of distinctions we absolutely have to make, and that is two particular distinctions. First, we have to define value. We have to define what people consider to be value and what the prospect, what the potential customer considers to be value. And this is something that I want to chat about in a minute. And we also have to overcome a barrier that I know most people have about giving value. And you just shared I don't want to call it a trick, but it's more like a strategy where you basically repurpose other people's content. Even if you say that I learned this from such and such, from so and so, right? You just take other people's content and you share it with the marketplace, right? A lot of people have a barrier about that. They have a barrier because they don't consider themselves to be successful enough or credible enough to go educate people. They think that they have to succeed first, and only then they'll be allowed to share value.
Yeah, totally. And it's like the whole be, do, have thing. You know, a lot of people have the mentality of have, do, be. Once I have it, once I have the money, then I'll do the stuff people with money have, then I'll be rich. It's like a lottery mentality. Once I win the lottery ticket, then I'm going to do things that rich people do. Then I'm going to be rich, when it's the complete opposite. It's be, do, have. You have to be the person that's willing to, you have to be the person that is the $1 million earner or 6-figure earner. You have to show up that way. You have to learn like that person. You have to act that way. Then you start doing the things that those people do. Then you have what those people have. A lot of people have it backwards. I know I did in my personal life for a long time. I was like, I have to get the result first. I have to get the result first. That's a lottery mentality. That never happens. You have to be the result first. You create it, you become it, then you do the things that people that have those results would do, then you become it.
Yeah, the best way I really kind of, from my own experience, that I kind of recognize this concept now, is you have to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So even if you do feel like a fake when you try to kind of repurpose other people's content and tell people and share with people, give value to people, you kind of have to accept the fact that you are success. It hasn't happened yet. And by doing so, you will eventually become a self-fulfilling prophecy. For example, I've had this done even after I became successful. I've released a new traffic source that was, working a little bit better than solo ads at the time. And so what I started doing is I started really beating the drum of this being the greatest traffic source and how it's beating Facebook ads, it's beating solo ads, it's beating everything. When it really wasn't yet, but I was working towards making that happen by, creating all kinds of different optimization techniques and software to help me optimize it further. And so within just a couple of months, I did make it into a self-fulfilling prophecy where all of a sudden we start seeing opt-in rates of 80%. All of a sudden we start seeing people who never made sales report making sales. And, it sort of became what I advertised it to be 2 months prior to it. So in many ways, when you want to become somebody in this industry, when you want to become an authority, at first you have to do it having nothing but belief, with no proof whatsoever, but having just the belief that you will become. Like you said, most people do it the opposite way. They're waiting for the fire to start warming them up before they throw in some wood into it. It doesn't work like that. First you throw in the wood and then the fire kind of warms you up. So from here, I really want to hear your thoughts on what is value. Because a lot of people have it really off. So what kind of value do you give? What is value and how do you create it?
So for me, value is something that increases the quality of my life. And that could be different things. That could be, I love life hacks, right? I feel like that's some of the most value. Whenever I see a life hack video, like you see a little tactic on how to do laundry more efficient, or fold your shirts. I saw a video on how to travel and how you fold your shirts in your suitcase. I watched a YouTube video. It had 20 million views and it just made my life so much easier. So that's a little example. But for me, and I'd love to get your perspective too, but for me, value is something that increases the quality of someone's life. That can come in education. That can come in entertainment. I mean, Hollywood is the highest paid industry on the planet, and it's all entertainment. It's all entertainment. Education is huge. If somebody learns something, I'd say it's a very good question, but overall, I'd say anything that increases the quality of someone's life, and anything that gives somebody a win is value.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to kind of nail it down to be a bit more specific because, again, after having these discussions with so many people, I know that this is one of the things that people really get confused about. Basically, when it comes to value, there's really three types of it. It could be either purely educational, or it could be purely entertainment, or it could be a slight mix of both, which Ty Lopez calls edutainment, or I call it infotainment. It doesn't matter what you call it, but when you have both education and entertainment as one resource, that's usually the case. That's the one that works the best. Now, here's how I define value as far as the actual strategic definition for a business, especially if you're promoting affiliate products, online income opportunities, and stuff like that. To me, value has less to do with the content, to be honest. It has less to do with giving tips. Value has more to do with the emotional buttons that you push when you communicate with the marketplace. So any form of communication, any form of media, be it written media, video media, audio media like this podcast, any form of media can become value. Now, then the question becomes, okay, so what do I talk about? That's the big question. What do I talk about? And so what you talk about is your market's fears, frustrations, desires, dreams, goals, your market's enemies and scapegoats, and concerns and suspicions. That's pretty much it. If you take any piece of content that's not purely educational, ever created in our industry, you'll find that that's exactly what that piece of content does. Now, ideally, when you produce a content piece, what you do want to have is you want to have a tie-in to a solution and a call to action. So the first, 80% of the content piece should be about your prospect. You should spend the time in the prospect's world by discussing their fears, frustrations, goals, dreams, and so on. And then you create a segue, a transition into recommending a solution, be it your own solution or a product you're promoting, by saying, okay, if you want to achieve this, or if you want to get rid of this problem, or if this is annoying or whatever, you need to check out this thing. And from there, you can transition into either just sending them off to a website or, sell it yourself. Just go into your pitch. But that's pretty much, when it comes to content, that's what it is. You're basically selling ideas.
That's brilliant. Because, yeah, just like you said, at the end of the day, people will make a decision to do something based on two things, either going towards pleasure or moving away from pain. I see so many people, Igor, and you probably do too, they stick to the technical. It's like the Samsung, Apple, Apple did this great. Samsung, they're great, or all these other competitors, but they get into like they don't talk about the pain and Apple makes you feel cool. Apple makes you feel like you're a part of a movement. All these other companies, it's like, oh, we got this camera, 7.8 megapixel, or I don't even know what it's up to now. Nobody cares about that.
Yeah, who cares about that, right? Every time, look, I'm an Apple guy, just like you. I got 3 MacBooks, 4 iPads, I got an iMac. Like, I got pretty much everything. I'm taking notes for this interview right now on a big ass iPad Pro that Dennis gave me as a birthday present. So it's really cool. And I've just discovered the Apple Pen, the Apple Pencil. Like this stuff is seriously cool. Now, here's the thing I don't get. Anytime I talk to an Android person, I don't care if they're a Samsung person or whatever else. There's like a million of these different kinds of brands. Who cares if your phone is faster if when I slide my finger with the iPhone, it's so smooth and slick and feels so good, when Android just feels it and looks like shit? Who cares?
I agree, dude. It's all about experience. So what experience is somebody getting? Nobody cares about if it's all that's BS. Nobody cares. There is a group of people who love that stuff, but it's a very small group.
Yeah,
so, sorry
Samsung
for all
and all
this.
Android. Samsung and all the Android companies, they got really good at two things. They got really good at telling how much better their hardware is compared to Apple. And they get really good at suing Apple or trying to prevent Apple from entering certain marketplaces. Everything else they suck at, and Apple doesn't even try to compete with them on their level. They just create a whole different conversation. Just like you said, if you have Apple, you're cool. If you have Apple, you're advanced. It's like people who drive a Tesla compared to people who drive a Dodge Challenger. Two different markets, completely two different conversations. If you want to drive Tesla, you're not a Muppet, basically. You're somebody who's advanced, you're thinking forward, you're driving the future. Even though the actual thing drives like a Mazda 3, it's really, really bad as far as the way it drives. It's really, the interior sucks, and I didn't like the whole experience, but I can appreciate if somebody wants to be a forward-thinking driver, if they consider themselves to be on the cutting edge, I see why they would, get a Tesla, even though it costs like an S-Class or even probably more than an S-Class, which is my preference for a car. So getting back to the conversation, when it comes to giving value, all you have to do is just understand exactly what your market is thinking about. And once you figure that out, just talk about that, because people love for you to talk to them about things they already think about. And they also really appreciate when you simply reaffirm what they already know. So that is why you probably noticed that listening to this interview right now, that the vibe went up as soon as we started talking about Apple, because Jules, both you and I are Apple guys, right? We appreciate Apple. We can talk about it. All of a sudden, the energy went up because it just reaffirms what we already believe in.
Totally.
So earlier you mentioned that at this point, you're just you can get on a random sort of value-giving rant, or you can just go live or whatever, and you can make things happen. And oftentimes, you're also saying that you may not even include a call to action. So what this makes me want to ask you is, okay, so if you don't make a call to action, and if the things you do are sort of random, how would then you make money?
So this is a little bit more advanced, but a strategy that I've been using recently is I'm putting out a bunch of value-driven videos. So maybe even like this podcast, I might send it out, because it's free. It's good information. So right now what I'm doing is, I know you guys are not the biggest fans of Facebook, but it's just one of the strategies I'm doing, where I'm running boosted posts to a lot of just value-driven videos. and building an audience of people who engage with that content. And then I'm retargeting those people with a call to action ad. So that way I kind of become like a mini celebrity in this like small world, which is really cool how it works. But then my call to action video, instead of just running a call to action video like I used to, targeting a keyword and just hoping that something, throwing shit on the wall, hoping something sticks. Now my call to action video is going out to anybody who liked, shared, or viewed my video, so that they already know, like, and trust me, and they already got such a good experience from me. And that's kind of how I'm monetizing it. So it seems like, a lot of people don't want to spend money to put, content out there with no call to action. It makes no sense. But really, it's if you want to make a quick buck, that might not be the best thing. But if you want to play the long game and build a loyal following and build kind of like a cult-like following of people who love your stuff, that's kind of one strategy that I've been playing around with.
Interesting. So you're engaging. First off, we won't hold it against you that you're in love with Facebook and that it's all right.
I actually hate them. It sucks. Like, I've been shut down so many times, but it's always that's what got me into the industry. And like, even it's always been something I've been trying to figure out, but it's definitely nowadays a pain in the ass to work with. I'm not gonna lie.
It truly is. It truly is, and it's getting more expensive, more competitive, which is something for all of us to consider. Thankfully, I don't have that problem anymore, and I will keep praising myself for being awesome for that. But I just want to focus on what you said. You said you're becoming a celebrity in this small circle. Now, this is something that most people don't realize. One of the mottos for this show is to make big money with small lists. And a lot of people think that, that I make a lot of money because I've listened to the millions. But I keep surprising them by showing them, look, we can produce $100,000 with a list of 5,000 people. Because when you have a loyal following, you really don't need all that. Like, you don't need to conquer the entire marketplace to make 6 figures or even 7 figures. So my question to you is, okay, so if you are a celebrity in this mini market, how big is that market? Approximately, roughly, it doesn't have to be the exact thing, right? But how big of a following do you need to have in order to be making 6 figures a month?
Well, I would say there's definitely some variables there. I've always worked with high ticket product lines where I can make anywhere from 1 to 5, sometimes up to $10,000 commissions on one single sale. So even if I have a list of a couple hundred people, even 50 people, technically, I mean, we have a lot of clients in our community who don't run a lot of advertising. They have a list of maybe 500 people, 300 people, but they put out so much good content and they're working with a product line that can pay them up to $4,000, $5,000 commission, to where they're making 6 figures with such a small list. So I would say, based on my perspective, if you're working with like a high ticket type product line, or you're offering something where you can make, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 commission, you don't need a big list. You just want to make sure that you treat that list, you build a relationship with them, you provide value, and you can make 6 figures with that. If you're working with a product line that, only pays a $20 commission or $10 or $100, you might need a bit of a bigger list, because you're going to need some more volume, if that makes sense. So to answer your question, Igor, you don't need it. I mean, it all comes down to numbers. You have to break down the numbers, but you don't need, if you're working with high ticket, you don't need a huge list to be able to make good money, because we have people in our community who are making, 10 grand a month on 2 sales a month. So they don't have a huge list, but they're really cultivating their relationship with their list. They're providing value, they're serving them, and that's how they're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few things we can kind of pinpoint that make for a great income generating business online if we are operating with a small crowd. If we're marketing to a very small crowd of, say, around 1,000 people, 500 people, then there's really 3 elements that we can't live without. First, we have to have multiple offers in the funnel, right? So we get one person to commit, and then there have to be multiple steps, and hopefully those steps increase in price as they go. In addition, we want to have a recurring element. Recurring element it really helps, because just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10 clients sticking to your recurring element alone can provide you with a stable financial cushion, every single month, just kind of, maintaining you and keeping you afloat just with that. Now, and the third thing is, of course, high ticket, just like you said. High ticket, just 1 or 2 sales a month makes for a really good month. So if all you need to pay your bills is 10 grand a month and that's your dream lifestyle, and you're getting paid $4,000, $4,000 commission per sale, then you just need 2.5 sales per month to make it happen. And it's not the end of the world. Like, you can make 2.5 sales per month, even if you're not running paid ads, even if you're not a super duper expert, even if you're not a super duper authority. 2.5 sales a month is definitely possible, which basically means that all you need to produce is, like, say 2 or 3 high ticket clients per month for a year. And that's 36, maybe 40 clients a year. That's all you need to make 6 figures a month.
Totally. It's like that saying, people lie, numbers don't. Sometimes you just got to look at the numbers, and just like you're saying, yeah, it's 2.5 clients a month. If I'm working with this type of product line, I can do this. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that people don't quite recognize, which I think is going to be the last tip for today, that's been a really value-packed call, is that it takes pretty much just as much effort, with maybe a slight distinction, but from a big point of view, it takes just as much effort to close a $1,000 sale as it takes a $100 sale. Like, the amount of effort, actual effort, psychological, physical, energetical, that it takes to close a sale virtually doesn't vary after a certain price point. So you might as well invest your time closing those big deals rather than the smaller ones, right?
Yeah, that's brilliant. Somebody told me once, I don't remember exactly, but they're like, it's the same amount of effort to sell, I don't know, a bracelet for $200 as it is to sell a ring for $50,000. It's the same amount of effort. Normally, the $50,000 ring, if the person's doing it right, is actually easier to sell because you're in such a leveraged position. First of all, people respect what they pay for. And, usually with that type of sales funnel, people are coming into a place to get a wedding ring, and it's a lot easier to make a transition. So just like you're saying, dude, that's brilliant. I agree 100%. It's just as easy to sell or the person told me it's just as easy to sell a castle as it is to sell a home. It's the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Jules, thank you so much for investing the time today. And I know you are one of the co-founders of Global Affiliate Zone. Now, we're not going to go deep into what Global Affiliate Zone is. We're just going to say that right now you guys have 50 six-figure earners and a bunch of 5-figure earners. The company is experiencing tremendous success. I've got to attend your event that you've held here in Toronto, which was amazing. Like the vibe, the feedback, the energy, the value, it was all off the charts. Like, I think you made a Tony Robbins event look like,
don't make me blush.
Like a Sunday church, gathering. So anyway, my point is that if you're listening right now and you want to learn more from Jules, from the people he works with, if you want to learn more about how come his clients and his members are making that kind of money, because that seems to be very consistent, which is what I've noticed, then you want to head out to igorsolowitz.com/GAZ, stands for Global Affiliate Zone, igorsolowitz.com/GAZ. And check out what Jules got going on. It's a platform membership site that teaches you how to become better at promoting affiliate products, how to brand yourself. And of course, you guys are also teaching people how to run those Facebook ads, which, in my opinion, is not the best way to build your business. But hey, if you're in for some Facebook traffic, guys, then, knock yourself out. So just head over to igorsolowitz.com/GAZ. So, Jules, any last words for the list builders?
No, I just want to say thank you, bro. It really is an honor to be here. I've always respected you ever since I got into the industry. You're one of the most consistent people I've seen. And anybody listening, look at what Igor is doing. Look at, it's consistency. Show up, find out what you really want, and just go for it. Go for it. Because nowadays we have all the tools and resources to do it. So I appreciate the time, bro.
My pleasure. And also, guys, one big takeaway from this episode is you need to buy an Apple Pencil. This shit is seriously cool. So anyway, this concludes the episode. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the List Building Lifestyle. Jules, thank you very much. And until next time we chat, have a good one. Thank you for tuning in to the List Building Lifestyle. Get access to previous episodes, the transcript of today's show, and exclusive content at our website at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. Also, don't forget to claim your free seat at the traffic workshop I'm conducting this week, where I'm showing how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers without losing money, and how my clients are putting anywhere from 50 to 500 new leads per day on their list at a profit without any list building experience. Just go to igor.cx to claim your free seat now.